The movie begins on Earth around 841 AD. A warrior woman called Ursa leads her fearsome army on a war against the Krevich tribe's people. Her son called Anders tells her that their men will be glad to return home because they will have more golds than they can carry after the battle. Ursa reminds her son that they do not fight for gold. They fight because their enemies still breathe, and hopes her son bloody his spear tonight. Just as they arrived at the Kvich land, they are welcomed with thousands of arrows towards them. But the outcome of the battle was still in their favor. Ursa and her men killed all the Krevich tribesmen, but they left one alive for interrogation. Ursa tells him that she is searching for their leader, the chieftain called Zoran. But as the Kvich tribeman refuses to talk, she went straight to torture by almost ripping out his guts. The man is forced to confess that Zoran has built an immense fortress many leagues to the east high above the lake of Lake Loga. After getting the answers she needs about Zoran's location, she handed her axe to her son to give the man a merciful death. The man tells Anders that he will never go to heaven if he kills an unarmed prisoner, making him so afraid. So Ursa had to collect the axe and kill the man herself. She gives her son a disappointing look as he still doesn't have what it takes to be a Viking. At nightfall, after Ursa orders her men to go get their rest for battle tomorrow, she goes to sit with her son Anders. She tells him he is old enough and it's time to tell him what happened to his grandfather. Her father called King Einar. Zoran attacked their land and defeated them, leaving King Einar half dead on the ground. He begs Zoran to slay him but not lay hand on his daughter Ursa. But Zoran, who wants to teach his family a lesson, answers that it's either Ursa dies by his hands or he will die by her hands. King Einar makes a crying Ursa to take his life, not before telling her to avenge him. The next morning Ursa takes her men to Zoran Imir's fortress and a war begins. Ursa proved herself to be a very scary warrior in this battle. This woman doesn't even use a sword, but only shields to fight. And we see how she took down dozens of men on her own. Her men are small in number, but the numbers of Zoran men doesn't intimidate them at all because of their astonishing fighting skills. Ursa finally gains entrance to King Zoran Castle, and they all surrounded King Zoran to kill him. King Zoran mocks Ursa, saying it's because of she's a coward. That was what led to her father's death. And just as he kept talking, her son Anders beheaded him from behind with his spear. But an unknown force sends his son flying, making them confused. A predator suddenly shows up out from nowhere and begins to attack Ursa and her men. Just with one single punch, the predator kills her men one by one. As the predator tries to kill Anders, Ursa jumps on its back and begins to strike it with her shield. But unfortunately, the predator has an advanced tech weapon which it uses to release a powerful force and sends Ursa flying off the mountains. She falls inside a lake, but manages to swim her way out of it, but the predator keeps looking for her. Smartly, she takes out the beast with a very heavy object and uses a chain to tie the object to the predator arm. She then lures it to a lake where the predator was unable to swim to the surface because of the heavy object tied to its arm. She then takes advantage of this moment just as the predator tries to use its weapon to kill her. Ursa uses her shield to backfire the attack, and this kills the predator. Ursa comes out of the lake but sees her son brutally injured. Her son dies in her arms, leaving Ursa crying. The scene suddenly takes us to another timeline in Japan 1806. These twin brothers called Sin and Lee are having fun together as they play with a paper boat they made by themselves. We find out that their father was the king at that time called the shogun, making the twin brothers princes. Since no one is older than the other, their father decided that the only way he will choose a crown prince among them is through sword fighting. He asks them to fight each other and whoever wins will become the crown prince and future ruler of Japan. Lee is revealed to be the better fighter and he refuses to fight his brother Sin, knowing the outcome of the fight will be very brutal. Sin takes the opportunity to fight Lee off guard and defeated him, leaving a scar on his face. Sin is appointed as the crown prince while Lee runs away feeling so betrayed by his brother. 20 years later, after the king died, Sin is crowned as the next king. And just as Lee hears a bell from the forest which indicates that the next king is being appointed, Lee sees this as a better moment for him to get his revenge. He picks up his weapons, especially the most important of them all, called the katana. During the previous king burial, we noticed a predator observing the whole town from a rooftop. Without wasting much time, Lee begins his revenge mission on his brother. He sneaks inside the palace and started to kill all the guards silently. But his plan starts to fail when a guard who spotted him rings a bell. Sin and his guards decided to equip themselves upon hearing the bell. But Lee throws a red gas inside the chambers and eliminated all the guards in seconds. A fight between the two brothers begins. Although Lee is still the better fighter, Sin still gives him a very tough fight. After a long fight, Lee overpowers Sin with his sword fighting skills. And he finally got his revenge as he gave his twin brother a scar on the face just like he did to him 20 years ago. Just as Lee puts back his sword to spare his brother, Sin falls from the roof. Lee feels really bad about what just happened to his twin brother. And just as he looks at his father frame on the wall, blaming him as the reason for the conflict that happened between him and his brother, the predator emerged from nowhere and attacks him. Lee runs away, and as he dodged the guards who wanted to kill him, they are left to face the predator who started to kill them diabolically. Lee gets chased by the predator on the rooftop, and this leads him falling inside the river close to the town's gate. Here it turns out his brother Sin is still alive as he tried to attack him, but Lee gives his brother a sign to be quiet as there is a more bigger threat in their midst. The predator tries to ambush Lee from behind, but Sin blocks the attack, but at the expense of having the blade of the predator through his stomach. The two brothers decided to unite to fight the predator, but they were outmatched by its inhuman strength. Lee noticed the predator has a bomb and smartly takes the bomb from the predator and uses it against it. And this injured the predator really badly. The both brothers then pick up their sword and started to cut the predator limb to limb until it dies. After the fight, the both brothers had a little chat before Sin dies from the very fatal injury. The scene suddenly takes us to another timeline in Florida, 1941. We are introduced to a young man called Miho driving his car and admiring the planes on the sky. His car engine got spoiled and he called his mechanic father to help him fix it. His father is disappointed that his son doesn't know how to fix a car engine, but then realizes that his son wishes to be a pilot. His father mocks his dream, saying he doesn't have what it takes to be a pilot since he cannot even fix a car engine. 1 year later, Miho became a mechanic just like his father, but the difference is that he fixes planes for Air Force's soldiers. Vandy, in charge of the Air Force, makes a deal with Miho to make him a pilot if he fixes a plane that it is said impossible to fix. Miho fails to fix it, and just as he tries to persuade Vandy that he has what it takes to be a pilot, their attention gets diverted to an explosion sounds in the air. Vandy believes it to be the Vietnam Army and gathers an Air Force team for battle. Miho hears an injured pilot saying what attacked them wasn't human and it went straight for their engines. Miho sees the weapon of the attacker on the injured pilot plane and decided to investigate it. During his investigation, the weapon turns into a hook and flies into the sky. Miho decided to risk his life by flying a plane that can barely fly to go warn the other soldiers that what's up in the air are not the Vietnam Army, but something more dangerous. Miho manages to fly the plane, but it was already too late as a predator is revealed to be the attacker. The predator shows up with a gigantic jet and begins to attack the pilots from their engine. Miho warns Vandy that they should retreat, but Vandy doesn't listen. The predator kills all the pilots, leaving Vandy and Miho as the only ones left. Miho tells Vandy that the predator sees their plane through their engines, and the only way they can fight back is if they turn off their engines. Vandy then decided to sacrifice himself to buy Miho some time to defeat the predator. Miho is able to shoot at the predator ship through its engine, but this wasn't enough to bring it down. Smartly, Miho lures the predator ship into their enemy borders. And as the Vietnam soldiers releases fire at him, he dodged it and it went straight to the predator ship and destroys it. Few months later, Miho resumes his mechanic career, but he hears a very loud sound outside his shop and goes to check it out. Miho is confronted by a gigantic predator ship and it captures him. Miho wakes up to see himself inside the ship. He sees dozens of predators inside the ship and a collar is placed on his neck. They push him inside their prison cell where Miho is so happy to see other humans there. Those two other prisoners turns out to be Ursa and Lee, who killed a predator in their timeline. Miho tries to communicate with them, but they speak different languages and they weren't friendly. Miho, Ursa, and Lee are then taken out of their cell and they realize they are not on planet Earth anymore. All the predators suddenly gets on their knees as the Predator King emerges from his ship. Just as the Predator King begins to speak to the prisoners, we find out that the collars placed on their neck is to help them understand their alien language. The Predator King tells Miho, Ursa, and Lee that they must fight to the death, and the survivor will have to face him. Miho realizes the collar is not just for translation, but it's also a bomb in case they try to escape. To begin to fight, the predators give each of the prisoners a weapon from their tribe to fight themselves. Ursa tries to attack me, but Lee stops her and says he is not going to fight her. He tells Ursa that him and his brother only killed the predators by working together and tries to convince Ursa that they should work together against the predators. Sensing their impending unity, the Predator King sends a large beast inside the arena to give the prisoners a more tougher challenge. Just as Miho tries to convince Ursa to calm down, the beast throws him up in the air and swallows him. Ursa goes to attack it while Miho strolls around its belly. He sees a weapon inside and started piercing its guts while Ursa and Lee fights the beast from the outside. Together, Lee and Ursa manage to kill the beast. The beast is being thrown inside a pit with Miho still inside its belly. Now, it's only Ursa and Lee left in the arena. Ursa attacks Lee, who is revealed to be a better fighter. He had many chances to kill Ursa in the fight, but he doesn't as he keeps trying to convince her that they should work together. Suddenly, Lee decided to drop his sword as he doesn't want to play by the Predator's rules anymore. Ursa could not fight a defenseless Lee and drops her weapon, too. The Predator King decided to kill them both by exploding their head with the collar on their neck. But Miho suddenly comes out with a remote and uses it to remove the collar from their necks. Ursa and Lee joins Miho on a vehicle is in and they try to fly out of the planet for their escape, but the Predator King stops them with his weapon. They unite to fight the Predator King. Lee serves as the attack with his sword while Ursa served as the defense with her shield. As for Miho, he uses his piloting experience to try and ride the Predator King ship. Just as Miho powers the ship, Lee and Ursa runs to enter the ship, but in the process, Lee gets his arm ripped away by the Predator King weapon. Ursa decided to sacrifice herself so Lee and Miho can buy some time to escape out of the planet. The Predator King tells his men to enter their ships as they are going hunting. Somewhere in the Predator planet, we see millions of humans kept inside a pod. And that was how the movie ended. Please subscribe to my channel and share. Thanks.